Hello and welcome back to the Universal Heart Book Club. I'm delighted to welcome you. I'm Stephanie Dowrick.
And I'm Walter Mason.
And I think you're going to start for us with this month with your book.
I'd love to, Stephanie.
Good.
This month I'm bringing you a novel, and it's an incredible novel. It's Bitter Greens by Kate Forsyth. I normally don't read books that are this thick, I've got to say, and so I was thinking, oh heavens, but I picked it up and I was instantly absorbed. It's a retelling of the Rapunzel tale.
Aha.
It's so amazing.
Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Yeah.
Ah.
And Kate Forsyth, the author, who's an expert in fairy tales, has gone back to the original Italian tales around Rapunzel. And so this story is set in the court of the Sun King in Versailles, but is also set in Italy during the Renaissance.
Oh wow!
So it's following the fortunes of a discredited courtier who's sent to live in a nunnery.
Yes. And
of a beautiful young Italian girl called Margherita, who is sent to live in a tower and grows this luxuriant red hair, and a very, very, very evil woman. It's so wonderful.
So the archetypes are all writ large.
Absolutely, and it's so involving. It's so much fun, and it's so well written. You know, I hadn't expected it, and I actually find sort of a lot of popular fiction difficult to read because I think it lacks art. But Kate Forsyth is such a good writer. And everything there. There's plot, there's character, there's history, there's religion, there's sex. It's just so much fun.
And has she researched it really, so you felt you were on the foundation of somebody who really knew what they were talking about?
Absolutely, it's incredible. I mean, I learned so much, you know, and there's so much in this about sort of herbs and cookery, and also lots and lots of that sort of Renaissance era nunneries, which are so fascinating.
Oh, you would love that.
I would.
We're both very interested in monasteries and nunneries.
Yes.
So that was good for that point of view too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And who would you recommend it to?
Look, honestly, I think anyone could read it, from young adults all the way through to however old you are. It works at every level, and it's quite sophisticated actually in its way, but it's also very accessible because the writing is so unpretentious and so engaging.
So it's very much a book to take away over a long weekend when people are not going to interrupt you, and you don't have to say, "I'm busy now, I'm reading."
Absolutely, yes.
Well, I've got a novel also this month, and we were pleasantly surprised to find that we had both chosen novels. I think my novel is rather different, although I also found it very, very absorbing. Elizabeth Strout may be a new name to some of you, but she won the Pulitzer Prize for an earlier novel called Olive Ketteridge. Did you read that?
Yes.
Olive Ketteridge. Yes, and she wrote an earlier novel still called Amy and Isabel. So she hasn't written a lot of fiction, but she is an exceptionally accomplished writer. And in this book, The Burgess Boys, we come into a family where there are two sons and a daughter, and both the sons have grown up to become lawyers, though of very, very different kinds, and the daughter has stayed in Maine, which is a very complex, interesting state on the eastern coast of the United States. And in the present time, Maine, some of the small towns in Maine, have become refuges almost for Somalian refugees. And so the childhood that the Burgess Boys and their sister reflect upon was very much a kind of white bread America, white faces, white bread America. And of course that is being profoundly changed and even disrupted by the needs of some, you know, very needy and sometimes agonizingly damaged refugees or even asylum seekers. But the drama in this book is not only about the integration of the Somalians in this small town in Maine, it's also about the stark contrast between life in Maine, life in Manhattan, and also about the amazingly indirect ways in which adult members of a family conduct themselves in relation to one another. And there are two key events, tragedies actually, that this book kind of circulates around. One happened when the children were children, when the brothers and sister were children, and that is that one of these children let the handbrake off the car. It rolled down a driveway and killed their father when they were very, very young. That was pretty awful. And then in present times, the son of the sister who remained behind in Maine commits a deeply disrespectful act towards these Somalian refugees and has to face court for it. And it brings the family together in a very complex, fascinating way. So what Elizabeth Strout has done is to take some of the real themes of everyday life and of contemporary life, not just everyday life, some of the big themes of everyday life about belonging and who can belong and how conformist do you have to be to belong and what do you have to give up in order to belong. All those sorts of themes of class, themes of income, themes of money, themes of religion, and she's woven them into this exceptionally fine story. I was a bit like you perhaps, but I was completely engrossed.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, it's more than intriguing. I think it's an important novel because it invites us also to reflect on some of our own attitudes and maybe some of our attitudes that need a good dusting down, you know, to bring them into the present day. You know, some of our assumptions, some of our, you know, things that we hardly know that we're assuming them until we see them questioned.
Yes.
And this is all done within storytelling, which is actually immaculate. Can you imagine being, you know? And I've read somewhere that she spent, I think, 7 or 8 years on this novel, and it doesn't surprise me. Not because the labour is in any way evident, it is not, but simply because that degree of accomplishment and also that degree of understanding of the Somalian situation without pleading a special case for them really takes years within the writer to absorb, reflect upon, and then bring into the story in this very naturalistic kind of a way. So I think we're recommending 2 quite exceptional novels.
Absolutely, 2 great reads there.
2 great reads, and we will write reviews as always. And thank you so much, and thank you so much, Walter.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we'll see you next month.